Welcome to Gloria's Gap Live. This morning, I have a really interesting person that you're going to find is not only passionate about what she does, but has been a human trafficking victim. And now you're doing something about it to help and prevent that in the future. And she is the executive director of Taking Back the Girls. And her name is Gloria Martinez. So we have a Gloria and Gloria show. Before we start, thank you so much for coming, Gloria.
Thank you for having me.
She has 3 kids. I know how busy you are. And one is only 9 months old.
Yes.
So that's a lot. Before we start, I have to thank our sponsor, South Florida PBS. If you're not a member, you get one of these once a month. It tells you everything that's going on. And aside from all the great content with great shows and whatever, they have an allhealthtv.com, and you can go to #allhealthgo, and there is so much information that you get for free. And I was telling you, one of my favorite shows is Sex Talk that comes on every week with Dr. Leah. And if you haven't watched that, I suggest that's a good one. You'll learn a lot. I certainly have. So I am so impressed with you, first of all.
Thank you.
But you're working on your PhD.
Yeah.
So tell us about what we're doing. We're collecting bears. So tell us why we're collecting bears and about your PhD project, first of all, okay?
Sure. So part of my PhD project is to create a film campaign. And so being that I run a nonprofit, right, that works with teens and works on prevention, what I wanted to do was really make a shock factor for Florida. And when I was looking and researching, I found that DCF put out an annual report. Last year, there was 1,627 children involved in trafficking cases, both sex trafficking and labor trafficking. Mm-hmm. And that number shocked me. And so I was like, how can I put this in a campaign? Well, I started playing with words, right? Too much to bear. It's too much to bear for anyone, and mostly for our children, right? So I was like, I need bears. So 1,627 bears is what we're collecting to put on display and then film it so that we can reach even more throughout Florida. So
I got your letter, or found out about you, and I sent it to the Coral Gables Women's Civic and Engagement Chair, Christina Jackson, and she ran with it. And she is so excited. She says, oh my gosh, people are coming out of the woodwork giving me bears.
Oh, yay.
So, out there, if you're listening and you have bears, you can drop them off.
Yeah.
Is there a deadline for this, though, for the bears? Because they can drop them off at our office here.
Yes, the deadline is actually tomorrow, Friday, March 15th, because we need to count, right? We need to count. It's not easy to count that many bears. We need to make sure we have them all. And the display will then be set up on Monday, March 18th. It's going to be an all-day display at St. Thomas University, right in front of their law school.
Oh my gosh, that'll be great.
Yeah.
And are they doing it on a wall, or how is it being done?
So we actually have big 4-foot numbers, the 1,627. So that'll draw people in. And then the bears are going to be surrounding these numbers. And it is a lot of bears, right? Yeah. Big bears. We have life-size bears. We have small bears, all different sizes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So tell me, you were telling me that, the reason this is so close to your heart is you're actually a victim.
Yeah.
And you work with Catherine Fernandez-Rundle. Yeah. So tell me about that.
So I was trafficked between the ages of 12 to 17. It's been 25 plus years. So I have, done my work in healing and being able to turn it into a passion, right? To help other girls not end up in the same situation that happened to me. And I work very closely with the task force down here in South Florida. Anytime they need a survivor to speak, anytime we have a presentation and I can bring them along with me, it's just a great collaborative effort, because that way they get the stats and what's going on from the state attorney's office. And then they get that survivor piece to really connect for me, because I don't meet a lot of the stigmas, right?
Yeah.
I still went to school. I was raised by my parents. I wasn't a foster kid or a runaway, and that's normally what we're told is the the algorithm for someone to end
scenario.
up. But that's not me. I didn't happen that way. For me, it was my boyfriend at the time that actually was trafficking me, and he was a minor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So who would think?
I know. That's why I'm really passionate about this and sharing my story, because it's not the typical, but it just shows that it can happen anywhere and it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of.
I know.
Yeah, because you're right. It doesn't fit the mental picture most people have.
No, not at all. I went to school, 99% of the time. I came home 95, I would say, percent of the nights. So it wasn't what people think of. People think of you go overseas, you get kidnapped, you never see your family again. And that definitely wasn't the case for me.
Right. So, and then how did you get out of that?
So I stepped back and really evaluated some things, because I had slipped up and told one of my friends a little bit of what was going on. I basically mentioned that I had an appointment that I had to go get to, and they were a little taken back by it. And from then, it was a lot of them talking to me about it and really opening my eyes to things, leading to me informing, my family. And then thankfully, that was right at the time where I was getting my college's acceptance letters in, and I got accepted to a college in Massachusetts. And so I booked it. Yeah. And my trafficker honestly didn't really care that I was pushing back or pulling back, because he had already had so many girls at that time that was
really
taking over all of the appointments.
And did he threaten you? How did he control you?
Yes, it was definitely a lot of threats. So it started at 12 years old. He took a very long time grooming me. Of course, grooming doesn't happen overnight, right? So it took months, almost a year of straight grooming, as if we were in a relationship, and loyalty. And he learned the ins and outs of my family, right? My father was a federal employee. My mom was disabled. And so using that and knowing the times when they got home or they left to really control the situation and threaten. It was pretty scary threats at the time. And, as a child, right, at that time, you don't know if it's going to really go through or not.
Yeah.
And so there were some situations where he definitely showed me that the threats were valid, through abuse, physical or different kind of controlling measures. So I never really tested it, to be honest.
Oh, but you were young.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so thank God you were able to,
get out.
Get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not everybody's that lucky.
No. And back then, human trafficking is something that started being talked about in Florida in 2012.
Yeah.
By then I had 2 degrees, wow. It happened to me way before then, where nobody talked about trafficking.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, well, thank God that, you came forward and are able to share your story with everybody.
Thanks.
So they must love you at the office there.
It's just another piece, right? It's just connecting the dots for people, and especially parents, because even my parents, when they found out, my dad working for the federal government, he never fathomed that his children would end up in a situation, right, like this.
Right. And they were, and so did you go through therapy? What happened? How did they, handle whatever trauma?
Yeah.
Because that's a long time.
It's very long.
To be threatened and
and just everything, right? Being 12 and being taught that this is the way relationships work and this is the way love and loyalty works really messed with me.
Yeah.
When I got to college, I went straight into therapy, and it was 3.5 years of therapy. And my therapist actually had to convince me that it was trafficking, because again, not something people talked about, something you saw in movies as kidnapped overseas and taken away.
Exactly.
But never something that just can happen by someone you know. And in my research, I actually found that the most common way that young people are trafficked is by somebody they know, and mostly through a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Okay,
so this trafficker, you said he ended up having a lot of women or girls. So how did he get into that? So how do you prevent people from getting into?
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
That would be an interesting thing to delve into, because he's got to be, he's got to have some issues too.
Yeah. And there are some programs that work with young boys and work on prevention in that sense. I work very closely with Victor Williams. He runs Quest to Freedom. It's another nonprofit, and he works on that. He, as a man, tells his story about how he was younger and, really enjoying that previous mentality of like pimps and dressing up like a pimp with a cane and having women all around you, and how that really hurt our culture when it came to trafficking.
Yeah.
So
are there now programs to identify and help people who have been traffickers?
Yes. So there are a lot of programs that help on both sides. There are programs that help with young boys and that mentality, and young girls, because girls can be traffickers too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And girls can recruit.
Yeah.
And on the prevention side, that's what I focus on in my nonprofit, is working with girls on filling the gaps, right? On what are the reasons that girls end up trafficked? Is it that they need money? Is it that they don't have good role models or supports? Yeah. Maybe they don't know healthy communication or healthy relationships. So being able to really fill in those gaps for them and empower them to have a different outcome later on and be successful.
Yeah. So now we've got this big installation coming up.
Yeah.
And do you do fundraisers? How do you fund all the work you do? Because you told me you have 2 nonprofits.
I do.
I mean, you're a busy girl.
Thanks. So we
and 3 kids.
Yes, and my doctor.
There you go.
So we do. We often ask for donations. We often have sponsors that come in and they want to help out, whether it's for an event or for the whole program itself. It really goes a long way. And for me, I don't turn anybody away, right? So if there's a school that doesn't have the funding but wants to bring the presentation there or an activity there, I'm going. And we'll worry about the finances later, right? But yes, on our website, they're able to donate. They're able to help out. We even have people that want to come and volunteer, and that's great too.
Yeah. So do you have psychologists or whatever that do pro bono kind of work?
So we collaborate with mental health facilities, yes.
Right.
Because if we notice that extreme, right, that their trauma is evident, then we link them if they're not already linked to somebody, right? Mm-hmm. I focus on the before, right?
You're preventative.
Yes, on the girls that may be at risk before they get to that situation. Mm-hmm. But in the nonprofits, we often have survivors that may need essential items, or they're in therapy, but they need something else, some other factor. So that could be one of those gaps. One of the things we do is entrepreneurship. And we have 3 girls that actually started their own business now, and they're making money on those businesses. And so we collaborate a lot to make sure that we help girls in all aspects.
Well, that's fun. Gosh. Yeah. So you get to run nonprofits and help people start new businesses?
Yeah. Help girls start new businesses. Yeah.
So what are the businesses, just for the heck of it?
No, yeah. So one started a clothing line because she didn't know how to sew. And so I taught her how to sew. And after I taught her how to sew a pillow, man, it took off. And she just started making clothes and patterns. And how do I put a zipper on and a button and all of those things? I have another girl that started her own nail polish business because I taught her how to make her own custom nail polish.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it's actually pretty easy.
Well, that's another show.
We'll say that for the next time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How do you make your own nail polish?
Super cool.
Is it really? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So is there nothing you can do? You can't do?
I try and be a jack of all trades here,
Yeah,
Gloria.
It sounds like it. So you sew?
Yes.
Okay. Do you knit?
No.
Crochet? You don't do that. Oh, no, it's okay. You can't do everything.
I can't have it all. No.
Yeah, right. But you know how to start businesses, so that's really good.
Yeah, that works well.
Yeah. And do you work with, what other organizations do you work with outside of that? Like, I told you, we've got the Coral Gables Women's Club, and the
great.
General Federation of Women's Club is, I'm sure, going to get involved too.
Yeah.
Are there other organizations that you've collaborated with?
Yeah. So I collaborate a lot with the Community Police Relations Foundation. It's a little long, but it's important to name them. And we've worked together over a year now on different things. So we've had survivors that They got back into school and their prom's coming up. So they need a prom dress and they need prom shoes and they need senior pictures and they need their hair and makeup done for prom. We've done it. In collaboration with them, right? We've done a lot of things to make sure that survivors have everything they need. So there's some survivors that may have been trafficked with a child, or after being recovered, they get their children back. They need essential items, right? They need diapers, they need wipes, they need formula maybe, they need clothes, they need toys. So we really work hard to make sure that they have the things that they need.
Oh, so that makes that transition so much easier when you don't have to worry about where your next meal or where your next diaper is coming from.
Exactly.
And diapers are expensive.
Let me tell you. Yeah.
I don't know how young families do it anymore.
Listen.
I had to go buy some diapers for a baby shower, and I couldn't believe,
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've had to use those, but yeah. So, so it's a big deal.
And wipes are like gold. It's crazy.
That can be another drive.
Yeah.
A diaper drive.
We can totally do that. I'm down.
Yeah, we're down. we got people to give us teddy bears. We can get diapers now.
Yeah, we can definitely get diapers. That'd be great.
If you're here, you can drop off diapers here too.
Anything will work.
Yeah, anything will work. Yeah. So what's your next step?
So my next step is to make sure we have all the bears collected by Saturday. I have Hog Heaven, who's also collecting for us in Isla Mirada.
Okay.
So I'm going down to the Keys this weekend to pick those up and get them all to St. Thomas University so we can set up bright and early on Monday.
Okay. So on Saturday, say people want to bring bears, where would they bring them?
On Saturday, they would bring them, if they're down south, to Isla Mirada, to Hog Heaven.
Okay.
If not, then they can bring them to our center, which is on 37th and Ponce de Leon in Coral Gables.
Okay, so you're in the Douglas Center? Where are you in the Douglas Center?
No, we're located in a church on 37th and Ponce de Leon. We're on the second floor.
Okay, and what's the church?
It's the Wesley Hispanic Methodist Church.
Wesley Hispanic Methodist Church.
Yeah, it looks like a big castle. You can't miss it. It's behind the new Publix.
Oh, wait a minute. Behind the new Publix?
Yeah.
But I go there all the time because it's right by our, the Coral Gables Women's Club is right down the street.
Yeah, it's right there.
So I'm going to have to look for it now.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I collect more bears over the weekend.
Yeah, let me know.
I can drop them off there. Second floor?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Oh, should have had a collection at Publix.
That would have been nice.
Right there.
That would have been nice.
I bet the GM would do that for you too. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe that's for the diaper drive.
Yeah, we'll do that for the diapers.
Okay. So are we doing, what are the next, or do you have any fundraising events coming up?
So at this time, we do not. We don't have any fundraising events. What we are working on is the film itself. So after the display is done on Monday, we're going to put the film together. And that's where we're really going to push throughout Florida, because I can't do this display everywhere, right? I would love to do it in Tallahassee and West Palm and, Naples and all over the place, but I can't. So that film is really what's going to push. And I'm hoping that that film will not only draw in awareness, right, for people to really see what's going on, but also help us. Because like I said, I don't turn girls away. I don't turn schools away, but we still need funding to do what we do, right?
I recommend that you get a hold of the General Federation of Women's Clubs Florida and let them know what you're doing and ask them if there's opportunities to do displays, because I know they have a convention coming up in April, so it may be too quick for that.
Okay.
But they have a fall board. They meet in September. And people from all over the state come. So if you were able to do a display there, and run your video in a kind of, a cycle, during, they have a lot of vendors there, and whether they would charge you for not, I don't know, because everybody's got to pay for stuff, but it might be a great opportunity to get exposure in for a broader community.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so I'm going to have to, and
link us, that would be awesome.
And Christina has that information too. Yeah, we're all in this together. Yeah.
And then with the bears, we're going to be donating those back to survivors in I don't need 1,600 bears, right? I told you I have 3 kids. There's no way for me to put all these bears somewhere. So one of the things we really want to do is to put those back in the hands of kids who've been trafficked, or even domestic violence situations, right? Because that is something that's a stuffy. That's something for them to squeeze and hold on to.
Involved with the domestic violence. Yeah.
So we want to make sure we give those back.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well,
thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Pretty amazing. So now for you, you're. When do you finish your PhD? After you do this documentary?
No, I wish.
I know.
So I still have a little ways to go, almost 2 years. It's a 3-year program. I'm right in the middle. But the last year is research. And I'm really excited for that because I've done a lot of research, but now I can take everything I've accumulated, right, and put it into how we're really preventing and see the numbers in that year, right? So taking a group of girls.
See what's working, see what's not working.
Exactly. Yeah. Taking a group of girls that are labeled as at risk and how we put these steps into motion and show the numbers that it is working.
So who are typically the girls that are at risk? How do you, is there a list of things that you would say, okay, this is you rate them 1 to 10. You know? Do you have a dysfunctional family kind of thing? How does that work?
So some of the things are if they have witnessed or been abused or neglected before by a family member or somebody close to them. Foster youth are at risk. Runaway and homeless youth. And, oh man, slipped my mind on the last one. But there are a couple factors. I don't like to hone in too much on those because, like I mentioned earlier, I didn't fit any of those.
You didn't fit anything.
None. I didn't fit not one of those. So for me, it's really looking at the girls that may have some delinquency, right? Maybe they've been skipping school or class, not attending. Maybe they don't have supports in place, right? And so how can I get there before it gets worse, right? Before we go from just detention to a suspension or an expulsion kind of thing at school. Right.
And so, but when those things kind of start happening and start missing class, whatever, you go, there's something going on here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it doesn't always have to lead into trafficking. I don't want people thinking all that.
No, it could be just, things happening at home.
Yeah. And so making sure that we can fill those gaps before then, because traffickers are smart, man, and they're getting really creative and they know how to finesse, manipulate. If you will. Yeah. How to manipulate and finesse and make it so that they're, the charming, Prince Charming coming on a white horse to save you. And that's not how it goes.
Yeah. So... And I can see that especially happening with homeless and runaways.
Yeah. And even, families of low income status, right?
Exactly.
They need money, right? So, hey, I can have you, make some money. Come with me. I'll show you how, right? And it's just as simple as that to pull somebody in, or even a thought in their head, right? Maybe not saying no saying yes automatically, but later on it might be hey, you said I could make money. How can I do that? Yeah. Right.
And did you make money from this, or it was just threats?
No, I never saw the transaction up until I was I just turned 17. I saw the first time that the transaction went down, and I was like, whoa. I thought that this was, helping you. This was not something like you're making money off me kind of thing was a shock value for me.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I started really, questioning things. And I honestly think that's why it slipped out one day, because I was with my best friend. We were hanging out. It was, nothing serious. And I was just so annoyed that I had to go and meet my then boyfriend to go do one of the things he asked me to do. But it definitely didn't start that way, right? Like he would ask me to do little things like be a lookout or I don't know, watch his back for something. It didn't start out as, hey, go in and have an appointment with this guy and I'll come and pick you up later. Definitely didn't start that way.
Oh my gosh. So you are a shining example of how to overcome something that had to have been, looking back, very traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But at the time, you dealt with it. I mean, but the thought that your family was at risk and constantly being worried.
Yeah.
For how many years? 5 years?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awful. He like took your youth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's just so sad.
Yeah, and part of this is healing that little girl, right? Being able to give back and help other girls, and now seeing my 3 girls, right? And making sure that they are powerhouses and you can't mess with them.
Yeah,
And
right.
hard to raise those kinds of girls, but I'm
know.
doing it.
Tell me about it. I got them.
Right?
I had them there.
I love how people say,
Nobody screws with my kids.
Yeah, and people say like, "Oh, I want a strong girl, but I don't want to raise her because that's hard."
Exactly.
Right? And so that's kind of where I'm at, is just making sure that I can empower girls and young people, right? Because I've gone and I've speak at all boys schools too, and it's just
good.
youth that really need to be empowered so that they don't end up in this situation, and they know the red flags to look for, because I didn't know them when I was younger. No one came to talk to us.
But they can look out for their friends.
Exactly.
And not necessarily their girlfriends. They can look out for their, platonic
their
friends.
I mean, I've spoken at schools, and I've had teenage boys come up to me and tell me that they were almost trafficked and they were being groomed by an older woman.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So it happens on both
they can be
sides.
trafficked. Yeah.
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 I mean, we have girls, so we think of girls, but
I know. Yeah. But it doesn't always go that way. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, God bless you and the work you do,
Thank you.
I'm so happy I was able to meet you, and that just somebody reached out to me to tell me about this. So, everybody, St. Thomas, and then what's the name of the church again? Behind the Publix on Douglas, right before you get to Southwest 8th Street?
It's Douglas and 37th. Yeah.
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 So
right before Flagler.
right before Flagler.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
The 2-story
It's not the one I
Publix?
was thinking about.
No?
Okay. No. I was thinking about another one. I was thinking about the one on Southwest 8th Street and Douglas.
No, we're right before Flagler. So it's 133 Ponce de Leon Boulevard.
Okay.
It's
well,
a
good to
big
know.
church. It looks like a castle.
If I'd collected any teddy bears, I would have been going to the wrong place.
Don't go to the wrong place.
Don't go to the wrong place, right? So, yeah. So we'll be tomorrow meeting. I guess, are we taking them to that location?
Yeah, you guys are gonna take them to the center.
Oh, and we have a picture. Do you have the picture that she sent you?
That's my Ellie.
Oh, that's your daughter.
That's my
Oh
4-year-old.
gosh.
She was helping me count all the bears.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and we have another one, a teddy bear donation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and you can do them at City Hall too.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, look how
Mayor
cute
Lagos,
those-
I really appreciate him. He is collecting as well.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I really
Christina told
appreciate
me
him for that.
Yeah. So how are their collections going?
I actually don't know. So I've tried to stay away, because if not, I will be the hover mom. I will be like, how many are in that box? Right?
Yeah,
so
right.
I have to stay away until the end date, and then I will count them all up.
Yeah.
Makes me
well,
nervous.
I'm so proud that the city of Coral Gables is doing that, and the Women's Club. And then like I said, I think it's gone up beyond that. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I'm going to be excited. I will definitely take a picture and send it to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, right. So we're almost out of time. I have to thank South Florida PBS again. And again, I want to get you connected to Genesia Squee and South Florida PBS to see how you might work together, maybe on their women's health fairs and things coming up in the future.
That would be awesome.
Genesia's out of town, so she's not watching this right now. But
It's okay.
when you come back, Jenny, I'm going to be calling you. Again, become a member. Are you a member of South Florida PBS? Yeah. And you get one of these too then, right? So, So if you're not a member of South Florida PBS, please, it's the best resource we have in our community. From great programming to educational things to their kids programs are great too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they've got any kids programs that are doing anything about human trafficking, but that might be.
It may.
That's a show for you to do. You know what?
That would be great.
We're going to talk about that. So until next time, thank you for joining us today. And if you've got any bears that you've got available to send, if not, our next collection will be diapers.
Yes, diapers and wipes. It sounds great.
Diapers and wipes. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So until next time, have a good one and keep making a difference and giving of your time and talent like this young lady has done for many years.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Gloria.